Popular t-shirt on the internet, without a doubt, is the Charlie Mefford shirt, and then Peyton Taylor's crash. So last night, this backstretch, as you can see, dirt in December, we talked about it throughout the evening. Our logo pretty much completely gone because the backstretch is where all the action happens, folks. And this racetrack looks more like last night did than anything else. I think we're in for a very, very good finale here at the Dome.
Well, a lot of guys with a lot of different action here last night, and a guy that has been all over the Dome, inside and out all weekend, Derek Kessinger, and he now joins us on the broadcast. D-Swab, welcome to the show.
I'm here with Mike McKinney, and after all the chaos, you had the stuff happen in the late model division, you might have been the most underrated storyline, 18th to 2nd. Just talk about that run to make it into the show for here tonight.
Yeah, it's not exactly how I had it drawn up, but qualified 26th out of 30th. Just car was really bad, and just was able to pass the car in the heat race there, and snuck into the last transfer spot for the B main, and just worked on the car all night. And yeah, I didn't really have any high hopes of making the feature last night, and now we're locked into tonight. So had a super good run, yeah, from 18th to 2nd, and felt really good. So yeah, just kind of shocked that we're in this position, and just ready to keep going tonight.
Can you just feel the buzz right now? People are coming up to us, taking selfies, beers, everybody's having a good time, but it's starting to get more and more amped up.
Yeah, Saturday's always crazy. You can't even walk through the pit area right now. It feels like it's PBR down there. So seeing all those fans do that wave last night, I was sitting on stage and dying laughing, man. It's this deal's super cool. We're just all grateful here to be putting on a show for you guys.
All right, driver intro, you got anything up your sleeve?
We'll wait and see.
All right, Mike McKinney, he's locked in the show, 18th to 2nd last night. He's just going to enjoy the moment until driver intros later on tonight.
How long? I want to know how long McKinney's been growing that mustache real quick, Swab.
They want to know how long you've been growing this nice stash.
It's like an off-season thing.
Since last offseason? Yeah. Oh, love it. Well, McKinney with the drive last night, 18th to 2nd. Who said you can't pass in the Dome, man? He drove, and he wasn't driving past chumps either. He's driving past regional champions, national champions, you know, all-time win leaders. A lot of talented drivers, and tonight he is going to start no worse than 6th in that main event for the Summit Racing Equipment Mods.
Yeah, and you had him going from 18th to 2nd last night. You had Tyler Carpenter coming from 18th to 5th last night. Wholesale passing in the late models and modifieds. Jay Vannon, as Blake alluded to earlier, a racetrack that was vastly different last night than what we saw here on Thursday.
You know, I watched the track here last night, and that's you know, that's kind of one of my fortes. Not a lot of people know it. I love to watch track prep. You know, not only do I do it myself at Marshalltown and help out at other racetracks, but it's fun to go into a place that you know nothing about and watch these, watch this crew do what they do to the racetrack. And they were on it last night. They knew they had the base, or what we would call a hard pan set on Thursday night. They knew they could start to tweak with the racetrack. They knew they could start to, hey, can we put a little more water here? Hey, can we start tilling? Hey, can we do this? And sometimes the hey is throw the dice at it's a crapshoot. Throw the dice at the wall, see what you get. And last night, I tell you what, they hit the trifecta on the racetrack. It was fabulous last night. We saw that great racing. And I'm so forward watching these guys work the racetrack today, what it's going to bring us here on the final night at the Dome.
Look at two legends.
Two goats.
Next week, you know what Kovac's doing? He knows Nick Hoffman has a big announcement next week. Kovac's trying to get the scoop down there.
Absolutely he is.
Yeah, Mason Beals down there as well, and they're checking things out. Man, you know Nick Hoffman. You could tell last night sitting up here, it was just eating him alive not being here. What's up, little man?
Got himself one of those new Tanner English t-shirts. That's cool.
That is. Young
That's
lady next to
awesome,
him. She's
man.
going to hi, ladies.
Oh, got her checkered flag. She's excited.
Be good tonight.
Oh,
we may
that's
see
awesome.
Santa Claus, so you better be good while you're here tonight.
We know we're going to see the Grinch twice.
We are.
Yes, we are.
We definitely
are going to see the Grinch for
a
sure.
fantastic crowd's coming in tonight. We are lining them up. No hot laps tonight, my friends. No, no, no. We are going to go with 6 late model qualifiers, 12 laps apiece. The top 2 move off to the main event. Positions 3 and 4 move off to the win and you're in last chance race. So that's something new, as we said this year, one last chance to get in. And DJ, let's be honest, 6 of these Comp Cam Super Late Model qualifiers, she could get a little dicey out there as only 2 of those drivers lock into the feature.
Yeah, you're going to have about 18 cars in each of these qualifiers if everybody is able to answer the call, and they're only 12 laps in distance. And again, the top 2 in the late models, guys, the top 2 are going to transfer into, of course, the 6th annual Castrol Gateway Dirt Nationals. Then they'll have the win. And then, oh my goodness, who just put a Michigan fan on the screen? That's That is tragic. By the way,
what's he gonna do when Purdue comes for him tonight? What you gonna do when Purdue comes to town?
By the way, I don't know how many folks know, but I'm a big Utah Utes fan now. After last night, I want to congratulate them on their Pac-12 championship. My Ohio State Buckeyes are very thankful for that.
They rolled USC. Look at Cody Summer. You know, he's thinking, I want a good track, and I also want it to be this time tomorrow, so that this event, because this is quite a 2 weeks for him. I tell you what, we're gonna go ahead and welcome Chris Ferguson up here. Fergie's gonna be joining us on the late model qualifiers, and we'll get him up here, get his thoughts as we get set. We're just moments away, DJ, and we know Kelly Carlton, he's not going to mess around. He's going to roll them out right at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time here, as, again, big time in the Dome tonight, and we now welcome Chris Ferguson to the broadcast. Chris, in the broadcast booth here at the Dome, what's your first thoughts as you step up here and look out over this place?
This is amazing. It's a spectacle that I was able to watch the last 5 years, I guess 6 years, and there's nothing like being here in person. This atmosphere is right up there with all the greats of the sport, and Cody and everybody's done a great job building this event up, and I've had a blast. I've been here for 3 days, and I haven't stopped smiling.
Well, Chris, a lot of the tracks you grew up on over in the Carolinas, you could put this place in the infield about 87 times. Would this ever be a track Chris Ferguson and the right opportunity would come race here?
Oh, 100%. You know, I like to put on a show every once in a while, so I would love to be out here. You know, there's a lot of good guys out here, but you know, I wouldn't mind getting up on the fence. I mean, I know I'm in a Bloomquist car, but I'm not afraid to knock the deck out of it.
Well, DJ, I tell you what, man, having Fergie up here yesterday, we saw Kyle Hammer up here. We've had Nick Hoffman up here hanging out. And it's cool to get the drivers' perspectives as they come up here, because let's be honest, we can guess all day what we would do, but we know we'd be no good in a race car. These guys are good in a race car. So we're going to be leaning on Fergie as these heats get ready, these qualifiers get ready to come out. And I tell you what, Dustin, knowing any moment we're going to send that first one out, what do you say we roll into this first lineup for qualifier number 1?
Let's do it. Let's go ahead and throw the lineup up for what's going to be Weld Racing qualifier number 1. Again, 12 laps in distance. Top 2 drivers are going to transfer. The lineup looks like this. Starting on the pole out of Chandler, Arizona in the 20 RT, that'll be Ricky Thornton Jr. And on his outside out of New Berlin, Illinois in the B5, it'll be Brandon Shepard.
What a front, real quick, Fergie, you're in this one. You know they only take 2, and you got Thornton and Shepard on the front row. What goes through your mind if you're starting behind them?
Yeah, it's you definitely don't want to see that, and you're just hoping that one of them has a mechanical failure. That way you can get one of the other 2 spots. But you know, this is the Dome. Anything can happen. That's what everybody loves about this place. Just because those 2 guys are the best in the country doesn't mean that they can't be outrun. And the place like the Dome provides, it can be done here.
Well, row number 2 is going to be Kyle Hammer. We talked about him being up here yesterday. The Clinton, Illinois driver in car 45. And to his outside, Margaret, Alabama's Ryan Wilson. He's been fast this weekend, DJ, in the 4W.
Absolutely he has. Row number 3 on the inside out of Hales Corner, Wisconsin. It'll be Jamie Zidar in the 9J. And on the outside of him, a guy that had a very good run in this race last year out of Washington, Illinois. It'll be the Pink Panther, Bob Gardner.
Moving back to row number 4, starting 7th on the grid, that's Jacob McGee out of Caney, Kansas in car 10. And to Jacob's outside, it'll be Dwayne Kiefer's the Bloomsdale, Missouri driver in the 0 start.
Row 5 out of Twin Lake, Michigan in the 51. That is Steve Fairbanks. He'll be flanked to the outside by the Greencastle, Indiana driver, the 05. That'll be Josh Bowler.
Moving back to row number 6 is Chris Fetter out of Troy, Missouri in the 15. And to his outside, Blake Higginbotham out of Bagley, Minnesota. He will start outside of row 6 in car 57.
Row number 7 on the inside out of Troy, Illinois, and the What the Cup Coffee sponsor number
Bottoms
40.
up.
Yeah, by the way, yeah, we're drinking it. Fergie's up here
Cheers.
drinking some What the Cup as well. It's Doug Ty, and on his outside out of Greenwood, Indiana, in the 14, it's Quentin White.
Moving back to row number 8, starting in position number 15, the Louisiana driver scheduled to be Dakota Smith in the B89. To his outside, Justin White out of Stevensville, Missouri in car 20W.
And if they all make it, your final 3 starters are slated to be Muse, Pennsylvania's William Stile in the 51S, Alamo, Kentucky's Brandon Tibaldi in the 16, and Cunningham, Kentucky's Adam Elliott in the 11. In all, Ben, scheduled to have 19 drivers running 12 laps with the top 2 transferring. Fergie, you're up here shaking your head. We asked what would happen if you were starting behind those 2 drivers there on your screen. If you're supposed to roll off 18th in this thing, man, what's going through your mind?
You're hoping and praying for about half the field to get wiped out on the first lap.
You're
not be in it, yeah.
Well, what if I told you guys, 19 scheduled, 18 make the call. What could go wrong in this 12-lapper where the top 2 move on to the feature? Positions 3 and 4 go to the win and you're in last chance race. And Ricky Thornton Jr., man, he picked up another mod win here last night, and he has got Brandon Shepherd alongside him in that Shepherd Riggs Racing B5. They're going to roll it a lap or two. And as you look out there, what goes through your mind, Chris, watching this field on this racetrack?
It's amazing that they got that many cars out here for a last chance race. It's it says a lot about the people that are here, though. These guys in the back, they enjoy this experience. They're excited to be on this stage, and I think this first one, especially with the track, they did a lot of track prep. The track's got a lot of moisture in it, so I think this could be a little more exciting than what we would expect.
Oh, I think we expect it to be exciting.
Well, after last night, I think we've come to expect the unexpected. There's no doubt. As you look at this, Bergie, winner going to come from the top, the bottom, the middle?
I think it's going to be the middle. Typically, when the track's real wet, the middle groove make your car wide, no one can pass you. So I don't think there's going to be a top right this early.
Well, DJ, lights are down on the speedway. This is Weld Racing qualifier number 1. It's RTJ and Bishop on the front row. 12 laps, top 2 transfer. 3 and 4 go to the win, and you're in, and we're underway.
5th on back, done for the night. Weld Racing qualifier number 1 is underway. Side by side down the back straightaway. Brandon Shepherd on the outside, Ricky Thornton Jr. on the inside. They stay wheel to wheel through 3 and 4 at the end of lap number 1. Brandon Shepherd is your leader.
Thornton sits in second, back in third. Right now, Kyle Hammer outside looking in 4th at Sidar. And it's a Hornet's Nest from 5th on back. Your top 2 side by side as we click off lap 2.
Lap number 2, Ricky Thornton Jr. still hounding your race leader, Brandon Shepherd, as they roll off through turns 1 and 2. A good race up in the front of the field at this one as they stay side by side for the lead.
Man, that is excellent racing right there. As Kyle Hammer watching the top 2 stretch it out, but they're catching the back of the field. Chris Ferguson, if you're the leaders and you see this lap traffic coming, what's going through your head?
You're hoping for a caution first, but these two, they race with the most respect out there. So.
Oh, and there's the caution right there. If you're Brandon Shepherd, how happy are you right now?
You're tickled to death. You're wanting those every 4 laps.
Well, they're going to get one with 4 in. He calls that one, DJ, as we had the 11 car going around over there. That will be the first caution of the night here in the Dome. And that was Adam Elliott, the Cunningham, Kentucky driver, drawing the first caution.
Adam Elliott, tough break for him as he slid to a stop. There was also a piece of debris down in turns 1 and 2, and our good friend Doug Ty had just scraped the wall down in turns 3 and 4. He's got a little bit of damage on the right rear of that race car. Unofficially, we have got 4 laps scored and 8 laps to go in Weld Racing qualifier number 1.
I'm watching all, we talk about this is a real fine dirt, Chris, and there's a lot of rooster tails. Kyle Hammer talked about it last night. I was watching some of these guys mid-pack in those first few laps. Can you see anything at all when that's all coming at you?
Nah, typically not. It's just part of being prepared. You need to have about 24 tear-offs on right now. So unfortunately, when you're back there, that's what you got to deal with. But, I'm sure they're not slowing down because of it.
All right, thoughts on this one? Ricky Thornton Jr., Delaware double file restart takes the outside. Why?
Just because Shepherd beat him on the start. I think the middle top of the track's probably rolled in better than the bottom, so your left rear is definitely not going to have as much traction taking off in the mud compared to where the track's packed in.
All right, I'm liking the perspective. Well, right now, Kyle Hammer hopes you're wrong. Ricky Thornton Jr. hopes you're right. We're about to find out as Brandon Shepherd brings us back to the green flag and the Octane Race Products restart zone. 4 down, 8 to go, top 2 to the feature. We're back underway in Weld Racing qualifier number 1.
Kyle Hammer trying to get a run on Ricky Thornton Jr. He clears him down in turns 1 and 2. Kyle Hammer momentarily takes the second spot away. RTJ going to try to fight back, and they think about going 3 wide, and they think better of it.
Hang on, I thought Thornton was headed to the infield. Meanwhile, he looks to the inside of Hammer, and now Gardner's going to join the party, and we got a spinner, and that's Doug Ty, and he had a little too much coffee as he draws the caution here in Weld Racing qualifier number 1 with 5 down. All right, Fergie. Ricky Thornton Jr. picked the outside. Didn't work. What happened?
I think Shepherd took off a little bit higher on the track, so I think Ricky was more or less in his tire tracks. So he wasn't able to fire before the 45 before Kyle was. So I think that's just kind of what beat him on the start.
So do you think Hammer's going to want the bottom again?
I think so. I think he sees that Shepherd's taking off a little bit higher, which gives him more of a racetrack to work with, which kind of puts Ricky Thornton in a bind out of 4.
Blake Anderson, you were in the infield. 18 cars started this one. That's how many started the feature the past 2 nights. How chaotic is it watching from your vantage point?
Boy, it's chaos when you think we're a lap or 2 each time away from getting to lap traffic, and I'll be interested to hear from Brandon Shepherd. Is it a relief to get these yellows to stand to lap traffic, or does lap traffic bring that opportunity to see how your car handles in traffic, being that that's exactly what he's going to have to deal with if he makes tonight's A main?
Well, DJ, 5 laps down, 7 to go. We'll get ready to come back to the green flag in the Octane Race Products restart zone. How about Bob Gardner and Jacob McGee? They've joined the battle. Jamie Zidar there as well, but it's been all Brandon Shepherd so far.
7 laps to go in this one. Again, top 2 transfer, 3rd and 4th to the win, and green flag is out, and we are back underway. And Ricky Thornton Jr. snookered Kyle Hammer on that restart, moves back into P2.
Now Bob Gardner's going to go after Hammer. Here comes Jacob McGee. Another lap off the board. We're halfway home, and it's Brandon Shepherd, your leader, Thornton in second, and those two are driving away from the pack early in this one.
Jacob McGee looking good, the Caney, Kansas driver in the number 10 up on the high side of Bob Gardner. That's a battle for the 4th spot. He wants to get in the win, and he almost lost it, and he does lose it off turn number 4, and the caution flag is back out.
Man, McGee had a good run going there, and he is going to loses that left front wheel, loses the tire off the wheel, I should say. His weekend's going to be over, and Fergie, you were pointing at him, man. He was in dig mode off turn number 2, though.
Yeah, he 100% was sending it, and that's what you got to do in this situation. So, hey, hats off to the guy, man. He was making it work. He was passing Gardner on the outside, and who knows where it would have took, but unfortunately, a little bit of contact there.
Blake Anderson?
Man, watching Jacob McGee drive into turns 3 and 4 there, I don't know, Fergie, what you thought, but boy, he tossed that thing in there sideways just a little bit hot, but that shows how contested things are. 3-time winner this year at Caney Valley Speedway in Kansas.
You know, Caney Valley, not the biggest place in the world, but it might as well be Eldora next to the racetrack in the dome.
That place is tiny.
Oh, man.
Thought we might have an FK rod in.
They were teasing us.
Replay.
That's
what they like to do. So one thing, Fergie, that has certainly been a hot topic of discussion more recently, the last several years in late model racing, are these restarts. We'll talk about that in a second. Keep that in the back of your mind. I think now we're going to toss it to the FK Rod Ends Instant Replay and see exactly what happened to Jacob McGee over in turns 3 and 4. He's got a good groove there. He and Gardner maybe make a little bit of contact and make a little more contact. And
does it just
around.
take off on you there? What happens when he's in the middle of that corner?
Yeah, I think when they make contact the second time, it maybe knocked the left front off the rim. And at that point, you're just kind of holding on. And there's really nothing that either one of them could have done. It's just a product of short track bull ring racing.
Well, we were talking about the restarts. Chris, talk about how restarts have become the new kind of hot topic, and especially with the Delaware double file and the leader out front, right? Either swinging the car wide or starting a little early or brake checking the field. A lot of times you mentioned you want to caution if you're at the front of the field, and then other times when you're sitting there you're thinking, man, I don't want to caution because I don't know what the heck the guy up front is going to do or how far he's going to swing that car out whenever we go back to green.
Yeah, there's so many variables, and unfortunately when you're not the leader, you're at the hands of and the mercy of the guy out front. So if he chooses to start a little bit higher and you're on the outside line, you're pretty much screwed because the guy on the inside has the whole racetrack and you got, a fraction of the corner. So it sucks, but you know what? It's a part of the sport and we have to deal with it, and you can't really pick it right every time.
DJ, we're over halfway, so single file, 5 laps remaining here in Weld Racing Qualifier 1. Top 2 to the feature, 3rd and 4th go to the win, and you're in last chance race. Nobody wants to be in that one, but you got to be in the top 4 for your weekend not to come to an end. With 5 to go, we're back underway.
Green flag back out, 7 laps down, 5 laps to go. Ricky Thornton Jr. trying to hang on to that second and final transfer spot.
Goes around.
No, just as quickly as we went green, we go back yellow as we lose the 57 of Blake Higginbotham over in turns 3 and 4, and we'll try it again.
I see some guys getting a little upset with each other back in the pack. 3 days in the dome will do that to you, I have a feeling.
Never happens. Never happens.
As Higginbotham going to try to turn that 57 back around. Chris, coming in here, obviously, I mean, this is a tight racetrack in a dome, but it's still a small racetrack. From your standpoint, does it amaze you that they can build this racetrack in such a short time and you're able to actually race on it?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I can't believe, we saw some 3-wide racing last night, and just like the first 5 laps of this B main or first 4 laps, Ricky and Shepherd never touched, and they were door to door. So that just says a lot because the track's really not that wide right now, and they were able to run door to door for 3 laps there without touching. It's amazing. I mean, it's crazy that they even built a dirt track indoor,
right.
but let alone to put one on that puts on a show for the fans. I think that's why this place is packed out.
And it feels like wintertime outside today. It feels like we're in December today.
You guys are spoiled because it feels good in this booth.
Well, there's a lot of hot air floating around up here, too. All right, well, the yellow lights have been turned off. That means we're going to go back to green flag racing this time in a holding pattern here with 7 laps down, 5 laps to go. Brandon Shepherd out front, Ricky Thornton Jr. second. They will fire at the Octane Race Products restart zone coming off turn number 4.
And we're back underway. 5 laps remain. Shepherd's led the whole way 5 more times around, and he moves off to the main event. Thornton's trying to get there with him. Hammer wants to spoil the party as they run out of 2 down the back straightaway.
Kyle Hammer on the outside looking in, although he does hold one of those 2 valuable win and in transfer spots. Again, the drivers have finished 3rd and 4th. They go into a last chance qualifier a little bit later on tonight. 5th spot on back is done right now. That white and green number 4 of Ryan Wilson on the hot seat, Ben, with 3 laps to go.
There's 3 more times around the speedway, and right now Kyle Hammer is going to need some luck on his side as he's losing pace with the top 2. Shepherd right against that cushion. He's got the 20 RT of Ricky Thornton Jr. behind him. They're catching the back of the pack, but just 2 laps around this speedway remain.
Ricky Thornton Jr., he wants to get a win here. He wants to start up a few positions higher than maybe what he is. He's got the nose of the 20 RT glued down to the Jersey barriers on the inside of the racetrack, and as Brandon Shepherd catches the tail end of the field, Ben, white flags in the air, final time.
Final time into 3 and 4. Hang on, Sheppy, as the checkered flag is out. The winner, Weld Racing. Qualifier number 1 will be Brandon Shepherd. 2nd, Ricky Thornton Jr. A lot of smoke out of Kyle Hammer's 45. He's 3rd, Gardner 4th. Those 2 go to the last chance, the win, and you're in. If they can make it, Zidar, Wilson, everybody else done for the weekend. Taking your 2nd and final transfer, the Arizona native now residing in Martinsville, Indiana. It's Ricky Thornton Jr. in the 20 RT, and your winner at a New Berlin, Illinois, it'll be Brandon Shepherd in the B5. The Shepherd Riggs Racing, True Timber Camo, Budweiser, Veterans Golfers Association, Dennis G. Woodworth Attorney at Law, Wild Gear, and Valvoline Pro Power Racing Engine, Rocket XR1 B5. And as we said, Kyle Hammer and Bob Gardner, they're going to go to the win and you're in last chance race. Everybody else done for the weekend. And Blake will wait on Brandon Shepherd to bring that awesome looking B5 your way. Blake is speechless, my friends.
There we go. We got a little directing traffic down here, fellas.
You do it all, bro, Blake. You do it all, Blake.
Let's see.
You got Sheppy rolling towards you now.
There he is. 14 wins this year. The Castrol FloRacing Night in America champion and the Weld Racing Qualifier winner as he chases his first big win here in the Dome. True Timber Camo coming on board. Sponsoring Spencer Baston this year with the World of Outlaws Lost Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. And Brandon, you've had a couple of races back in this B5 now. How big is that for you guys as you build towards next year to get back in this family car and chase some wins, especially around the Midwest, and get to race on some bull rings that are maybe somewhat similar to here, just a little bit bigger?
Yeah, it's definitely awesome to be back in the B5, especially here at the Dome. It's an awesome crowd like it always is. I knew I had to get the jump on Ricky in order to win that qualifier there. And you know, every starting position is crucial here for this feature, so I think this is the best we're going to be starting in a long time since we've been here. And we've had a really competitive car every year we've been, so we just got to give it all she's got, man. I'm just going to floor it and hope for the best. And these Shepherd Rig Racing, they've given me everything I need to get the job done this weekend, and qualified not as good as we needed to the first night and kind of got us behind. And it's a lot nicer to be locked into the race, but luckily we got to win this one, and I think we'll start 7th or whatever it is. So it feels really good, man. Like I said, I got to thank all the fans for coming out, and thanks Scott and Jason Riggs and my dad and my grandpa and everybody involved in Shepherd Riggs Racing for everything they're doing, and it's going to be a fun year.
Brandon Shepherd very happy as he picks up the big win. And guys, a new team this year for Brandon. Obviously, do you see they're building that brand new shop in New Berlin, a skyscraper in New Berlin going up?
Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest building in New Berlin by 3 stories, and it's only 1 story. So, yeah, no, I tell you what, a lot of big things for that team. He moves off to the main event, and he takes Ricky Thornton Jr. with him. Now, Chris Ferguson, you watched Kyle Hammer on that last lap. You see him being pushed back. Do you feel like he very well could be done?
Yeah, typically speaking, when there's a little bit of blue smoke and it look like a lot of gray and a little bit of blue, that means something terminal. So I hate it for him because I feel like if he's out front in that last race, he probably wins it, but that's just part of it.
Well, right now, Kyle Hammer and Bob Gardner, the 2 drivers scheduled to move on to the next one. Blake?
And it was puke and oil out down here on the floor, guys, so I have to think that probably blown.
Hey, Blake.
Yes.
Have you seen the score of the Big 12 championship?
I saw OT, K-State.
K-State wins in OT. TCU goes down.
Wildcats.
BC, it reminds me of the old BCS chaos, baby.
Yeah.
FPS chaos. That's what we like.
Is that bariatric chaos that we had from the other night?
Fire those computers up, right, guys?
Let's go.
Georgia's already got the championships.
Well, we're not firing up computers, but we do have Mesilla Valley Transportation Qualifier number 2 fired up, and they are firing off onto the racetrack right now. Let's go ahead and throw that lineup on the screen. Again, 12 laps in distance. Top 2 transfer to the Castrol Gateway Dirt Nationals. 3rd and 4th to the win, and you're in. 5th on back. Done for the night, Ben.
That's right. On the pole, it'll be Winchester, Tennessee's Jaden Frame in the J8, and to his outside, Mike Spatola in the 89 out of Manhattan, Illinois.
Scheduled to be inside of row 2, Maryville, Tennessee's Jason Welshan has scratched for the night. Trouble on the 29, and that is a tough break for the Chrome Dome. So, Ben, we will move the inside row up. That'll put Devin Moran on the inside out of Dresden, and on his outside, Greg Kimmons in the 27.
So actually what they're going to do is, instead of moving them up, they are going to crisscross them. Brad Hockaday came by earlier. Instead, on these, they're going to try to crisscross them. So we'll see how that goes. That's how it's supposed to be.
They thought about that, but I think they called an audible, and they're just moving that inside row up.
We'll see how she shakes down. So
right.
row number 3 scheduled to be Devin Moran and Jesse Lowe, who broke I think a chain last night's what he said, and the suspension was.
Yeah, it broke a chain, and then it ripped the whole left rear out of the car, so he had a long race.
Turns out you need all those things. DJ, row number 4 scheduled to be.
Row 4 scheduled to be Harry Hansen out of Eveleth, Minnesota on the inside, celebrating 50 years of racing, and on his outside out of Moorhead, Kentucky in the 95, that's Nikki Pennington.
Going back in time, it's Daniel Jacober in the Back to the Future. Number 22, starting inside of row 5 to his outside, Timothy McKinnon in the 21M out of Winder, Georgia.
Moving back to row number 6, there we find the Westminster, Colorado driver Scott Simple and the 11 of Lance Brasington. The rest of the field is coming off the corner. We thought about going green right there, and that's why you don't do that.
Oh.
Nope.
Andy Picklesheimer got an elbow and a DDT off the top rope down there. He's just minding his own business.
Hulkamania wasn't even out there either. Chris Nash also caught up in it in the 354, one other driver. I believe that's the Wolf Dog, Brian Wolfmeyer, in the number 5.
So, DJ, you can see Kimmon starting inside of row 2. They did crisscross him.
They crossed him on the track. Yep.
And that's what Travis Scott from Race Control said once they get him out there. And you know, a lot of times, Chris, they would move them straight up, but on a track where position's everything, if you lose 1 or 2 guys on the inside row, you don't want a guy that maybe was in a B main last night to start ahead of a guy that actually made the feature last night.
Yeah, shout out to Race Control because they did, they helped out Kenny Collins last night, but they did the right thing there, in the lineups, determined before the race, then they did the best thing by moving them up. But I'm excited to see Devin on that outside second row.
Devin in a kryptonite.
Yeah, how about that
listen,
too?
Devin's pretty good at this place called Legendary Hilltop.
That's right. That's right.
I think he's going to be one to watch right here.
He very well could be. We'll take a look at the FK Rod Ends instant replay and see exactly what happened to put us under the first caution here in Mesilla Valley Transportation Qualifier number 2 as they came off the corner and almost an ill-advised green flag. They were a little bottled up, and someone, the 11, Lance Brasington right there, he kind of drifted down. I'm not sure if something happened when he stabbed the gas or what, but I don't want to say it's always a crapshoot, Fergie, whenever you're out there, but when you go to stab the gas on a restart sometimes, it's a lot more than just that, isn't it?
It is, and you're waiting on the guy in front of you, but then the guy behind you might not be waiting on you.
Well, I see that Blake Anderson is down there surveying things as he does oh so well, rather than helping get those 2 cars pulled apart. Blakey, what'd you see?
A nose knocked out of Chris Nash. I would imagine he's probably done it. Just kind of walking over here on turn 4. We're as close to the fence on the high side of turn number 4 as we've probably been all weekend. So, boy, that gets me a little bit more excited for the night. And a little bit of character down here through the middle of turn 4 going to make things real exciting as the intensity builds.
Blake, I felt like it was the Sharks circling you down there. You're in the middle of the track, and there's cars driving both directions around you, my friend.
Head on a swivel down here, guys.
I actually thought Blake was just trying to get his steps in for the day is what it looked like.
Well, I'm knocking those out too.
Blake, you've done a great job, and Derek Kessinger doing a great job. The crowd roving reporter and Trenton Berry, I hope you're feeling better back home, buddy. Trenton.
Absolutely, with Trenton, yes.
I miss my roommate, Trenton.
So do you have a room to yourself now, Blake?
I do now. That's where the party's been all weekend, guys.
Heard a scouting report that Blake actually gave Trenton the flu so he would have the room to himself. No comment.
Inside information.
Yeah, no comment.
Now, Trent, we hope you're feeling better, buddy, and we look forward to having you back next year.
I was looking forward to talking some modifieds with Trenton as I get to go back to the glory days of modifieds back about 15 years ago.
He does like talking his mods. Well, we're getting them all sorted out here. Again, this will be Mesilla Valley Transportation Qualifier number 2. Jaden Frame on the pole and alongside Mike Spatola. And Chris, those are two guys from two different areas, but that's two guys that know bull rings very well. Of course, you know, you got Jaden racing there in Middle Tennessee, a lot of bull rings. You get in East Tennessee, those trucks get a little bit bigger on some of them, and then Spatola from that Illinois region. And I know you've gone up and raced at Fairbury and some of those tracks, and being a guy from the Carolinas, what's it like to go up and race in that Illinois scene?
It's definitely a lot different. You know, you got to basically tell yourself, hey, we need to go run the fence, because everywhere where I race, we're not typically on the wall. So I had to relearn how to drive, I guess you could say that. But this place definitely fits their driving style. You know, this is more elbows up. By the time you're on the straightaway, you're on the corner. So there's really not much time to think. You just do. And I think that's why you got, you know, the guys from Illinois up front this whole weekend, and the guys from the bull rings, this is their cup of tea.
You mentioned Devin Moran, and you mentioned Hilltop there in Ohio. Have you raced there before?
I haven't raced there, but I've actually been there. I went up to Devon's one week and
and
enjoyed it. You know, it was
did you go to Legendary Hilltop or Amish Hilltop?
So I've been to Legendary.
Okay.
And I've seen Amish Hilltop.
Okay, all right. So yeah, I mean, Legendary's been closed for a couple years, but it was really confusing there in my area for a while because we had the two Hilltops.
Well, it's very confusing, and I mess with DJ all the time. I'm like, I prefer, you know, Orthodox Christian Hilltop up there, you know. So.
All right, hey, we're getting ready to try this thing one more. I'm just cutting you off right there. Mesilla Valley Transportation Qualifier number 2, 12 laps in distance, top 2 transfer, green flags back out.
Good start as Frame takes him off into 1 or 2. Little smoke out of the back of the J8 car. Meanwhile, Opie's up top. Here comes Spatola to the lead. Oh, little beating and banging off into 3 and 4.
Still side by side, 2 by 2 back through the field like Noah led the animals to the arc. Opie going to lead lap number 1. Jaden Frame in that all-important second and final transfer spot. Devin Moran in third in the Rick Martis number 2.
Picklesheimer out of the party. He'll head to the infield. Meanwhile, Moran goes to work on Jaden Frame for that final transfer as we complete lap number 2 of this one. Good stuff right now. It continues to be your leader, Mike Spatola.
Yeah, Greg Kimmons has moved his 27 car Ben up into position number 4 right now. He holds that last spot for the win in your in race. Again, top 2 go to the main event. Caution flag is out as Lance Bracington goes around over in turns 3 and 4. 3 laps scored, 9 to go.
It's been a tough weekend for Lance Bracington. Hasn't had much luck. The Lexington, South Carolina driver, Kryptonite race car. As he'll get that number 11 turned back around. He's going to join the back of the pack. Racing for Heroes, Mr. B's Heating and Air entry. Right now, though, it is the number 89, and it's 2-time defending Fairbury Speedway track champion. He's won it the past 2 years. That's Mike Spatola in the 89. And now Devin Moran to the inside. And Chris, it seemed like to me that Moran liked that inside anyway, so Frame may have given Devin exactly what he wants.
Yeah, I don't think Frame knew that he was kind of working the bottom right there, but I mean, the middle top's kind of the preferred groove still. I think that as long as he gets a good start, he might can hold Devin off, but Devin's an elbows up driver. You know, he's clean, but he can get it done, so I think it's going to be exciting for this second spot.
Well, DJ, another perennial bull ring guy we talked about last night, the 27 car back there, Greg Kimmons, a lot of laps at places like Macon, Lincoln, and he's going to try to race his way in. And how about Jesse Lowe trying to work his way in that 417?
Yeah, Jesse Lowe still right there knocking on the door as well as they go into the Octane Race Products restart zone. Green flag is back out again. 3 laps scored, 9 to go, and here comes Devin Moran on the inside.
Moran up to, hang on, this could go bad. Jaden Frame upside down, and we got a parking lot on the back straightaway, and that's how fast it can go bad. You're in a transfer spot, you catch the wall, and then you catch some contact, and you go for the wild ride, and we'll wait on word for the driver of the J8. Well, you see him back there checking on Jaden as he caught that concrete, and
big hat tip to the track crews too, Ben. They were out there, obviously a little different on a track this size, but they were out there.
Race fans, driver is okay. Jaden Frame okay on the back straightaway.
But the track crews, we were saying, was out there. I don't even think the cars had stopped yet, and Fergie, have you ever gotten upside down in your career?
Yeah, one time at County Line Speedway in like eastern North Carolina. And it's a little bull ring too. And typically speaking, you'd rather be upside down there than at Eldora or somewhere else.
What is that feeling like when
It's
you were
not
on
fun.
your lid? Yeah,
It's not fun. So you typically think that your seat belts are tight. And then once you're upside down and you're hanging, you're realizing, wow, I moved a lot more than I thought I would.
Oh, man. Well, Blake Anderson, you're on the scene. Take it away, sir.
Oh, just a little bit of fence repair, a couple of clamps back here, and it goes to show we talked about how strong those poles are this year, and they held up again. The backstretch, we talked about at the top of the show, how it's created some chaos, and once again, chaos at the front of this one. A little bit of some divots to fill back here. We'll grab a word with Jaden once he slides out, but as you guys said, he is communicating with the safety crew. It looks like going to get the car flipped over before they pull him out of the J8.
Well, I was talking to Kevin Gundager back in the pit area a little bit earlier on today, and I told him, I said, man, the fencing around this racetrack seems like it's maybe holding up a little better this year than it has in the past. I said, did you guys do anything different? He said, everything is the same except one small thing. He said, the wiring, he said, or the braces that we use to connect the fence together is a little bit different. He said, what we did, he said, it gave them a little bit more support, especially where the K-bars are. He said, I think that small change that we made a very big difference, Blake.
And Jaden Frame is out of the car talking with the safety crew, so he can hear you, St. Louis. He gives a wave, so that's great to see. And guys, we'll see if we can slide and grab a word in just a moment. We'll kind of let him gather his thoughts as he is talking with the safety crew.
We're taking a look at Jaden Frame right here. You also saw Greg Kimmons step out of his race car too, Ben.
Also down in the production truck, D-Mac, if we have a replay on that, race control is asking for that, please. As we'll stand by and see if Blake can get an interview with Jaden. You saw Jade just kind of a frustrated smile on his face. I guess that's about all you can do there, Chris.
Yeah, it sucks to have a great run like that, ending with a flip, but he put on a show. He was up there doing what he could to try to get back around Devin, and sometimes you just run out of real estate, but hats off to the guy. I'm sure, it's the last race of the year for most people, so he'll have all winter to get it ready, but you hate to go home on a hook.
Chris, how tough is it when you're out there racing? It doesn't matter if it's a 5-mile racetrack or a half-mile like Eldora here. Before we go to this instant replay, how tough is it to have to go but want to be patient at the same time?
Well, in these last chance races, you don't really have much time, so you got to go, but you got to know where not to put your car, and unfortunately, sometimes they don't line up.
Blake Anderson, we'll send it down to you.
And Jaden, first off, okay, that's the good news back here.
Yeah, I just got up there too high and caught the outside wall and just couldn't come back out of it.
It feels like we've seen that happen a couple of times this week. Is it one of those cases where that wall just almost seemingly jumps out at you?
Yeah, it just like sucks you into it, and you can run, you can do about it.
You had a heck of a weekend. It sucks to see it end like that. Here's a replay if you want to watch it up there. Yeah, exactly what you said. Just kind of wall jumped out at you, but importantly, you're okay, and we'll hopefully see you in a year.
Yeah, we'll see.
How about it for Jaden Frame? Getting the track fixed up back here, guys, and I'm sure we'll get another replay up on the big screens.
Yeah, I think we may have 4 angles on it.
Oh,
We've got
my.
cameras all over the dome. So we'll say here's number 2. And at that point, Chris, what are you thinking?
He's just giving it all he can right there, and sometimes, you give it all you can and you're in the wrong place, and unfortunately he just got a little bit too high there, and this place ain't forgiven when that happens out of turn 2.
Do you realize from the driver's seat on a place this small, do you know if you've got too high at that point?
Yeah, typically speaking, about a foot or two before it happens, that's when you tense up and try to hold on.
A whole foot or two, so you really have a lot of time there. You really have a really long runway there.
I've smoked them pretty hard before, and I typically try to drive through it up until about that foot or two before I hit.
There's a lot of folks that are watching this at home right now and looking at these replays, and they're saying, you know what, these cars, though, they're inside a dome, they're on a small 5-mile racetrack, they're not really going that fast. And regardless of how fast these cars are going, that still doesn't take the sting away of that jolt when you hit a wall like that, does it?
No, it don't. These are 2,400-pound race cars that are made out of chrome moly, so that stuff doesn't really give. It bends where it's supposed to, but typically speaking, when you hit hard, you're going to feel it. And there's, the technology and safeties came a long way over the last 10 years or so. But at the end of the day, we're a human, and we're made to break bones. So whenever you hit hard enough, you're going to feel it. And even though we are indoor, it still hurts sometimes.
You talk about the safety advances that we've made, and you have actually, I want to say you've had a hand in that, but with your job in terms of what you have done in the past and working with seats and things like that, you know that maybe a little bit better even than some of the other drivers out there.
Yeah, for sure. It's just it's amazing that we can see some of the crashes that happen nowadays where people get out and walk away, and we don't think twice about it. We're just like, we're fortunate to see it come this far, because there's been times where I've seen wrecks this year in the last few years, whether it's any type of short track racing, and I'm like, oh no, and then the guy crawl out and be able to go home to his family. So it's kudos to everybody that works in the safety industry.
Well, our very own Derek Kessinger is out there with a popular, I don't know if I call him a current or former Illinois driver, or maybe somewhere in between, Suave.
Yeah, the modified guru, how's retired life? First question.
Oh man, what a weekend here at the Dome, and sitting home Friday night, and man, this wanted to be a part of this, so grabbed my good friend and crew guy Kerry Tredenick. We came down and wanted to be a part of this great event.
How electric is it in here right now?
It's pretty awesome. We got a chance to run it 2 years ago. Didn't have much luck, didn't get on the track a ton, but it's still surreal looking around here and saying they can race inside the Dome, and they're putting on a great show.
You were watching last night. What is Jeff Curl's thoughts of the, Hudson O'Neal, Tyler Carpenter incident?
Well, I don't know why they haven't made the shirt yet, but that's Dome, baby, I think is what they've been saying all weekend.
Oh yeah, well, have fun tonight. We're going to keep walking down here and get a little Ryan Unzicker action here as he's checking out the racetrack, the El Paso Express. Ryan Unzicker, you been bored the last couple hours, or the last couple days? You didn't have to race last night, locked in on Thursday.
I was definitely bored. Didn't know what the heck I wanted to do yesterday. Come up and watch, go to the trailer, work on the car, drink a beer too. I don't know. But I'm excited to be here Saturday night and put on a show for the fans.
Last night was the Dome, wasn't it?
Last night was a heck of a lot more entertaining than Thursday night for sure, but it's going to be the same tonight that it was last night. I mean, we're gonna put on a pretty good show for you guys.
All right, and behind them, my co-host Tyler Erb. You're just chilling. Got on this show early last night. You feeling good?
Feeling good, looking good. That's all we can do.
All right, guys. These guys are having time. We're going to send it back up to you.
All right, thanks a lot, D Suave, and I think we got the wrecker from Sonoy here. Look at that.